Oh, where to begin? I'm going to do this video is I'm going to give you an overview of what I participated in this weekend, and then I'm going to kind of intertwine it with some key takeaways that I got from it, along with some video. So first, if you don't know this, there's a gentleman by the name of Two-Wheeled Rider on YouTube. His name's Mario. Great guy, he's been around for a while. Very good YouTube channel. But he set up a thing with another gentleman his name's Brian, and he goes by the Boyers. If I get that wrong, I'll make sure I put it up here in the description above. Those two put together this event that I just attended, and it was called the 2WR ADV. So what it is they, Mario is used to doing these things called the Wild and Wonderful Weekends, and he's from West Virginia. And he does these events where he has people sign up, and then he tours them around the entire state of West Virginia. Now, he's done this for several years, and they're primarily 99% on the road. Whereas this one, the ADV one, was the inaugural one, was the first time he was actually going to take riders off-road, where it was more like 90% off-road and 10% on. So knowing that I have this lovely Pan America, and I know Mario from like 4 or 5 years ago, took the opportunity to be a part of this, and so it was a great experience overall. And I needed to get experience. I'll be the first to admit, and a lot of you, I've been honest with this on YouTube about this, I bought this bike to do different styles of riding. I've been riding Street Glide Special and been riding normal street motorcycle since 2006, and I love it, but I wanted to try a different thing. I wanted to try ADV riding, and I'm glad I did. And so this was like really my first official time. First, obviously, taking this bike purely on dirt. Now, I've gone down a couple gravel roads, but let's be honest, that's not really going out doing dirt. This was an experience that I needed to do, and so I knew going in, I was a rookie. I knew going into this that I was going to be probably one of the ones, or the one with the least experience, and that's okay. I go into this knowing, and I had some key takeaways that are key things that I wanted to do, and that was to learn as much as I can from fellow riders. Now, I'm not saying everybody on here has been riding ADVs their entire life. There's some that have just started over a year ago, some fairly recently, and there's some that have been riding for years. So there were different levels of experience, but overall, most of them knew what the hell they were doing. So I went in this knowing I want to learn as much as I can, and will I make some mistakes? Absolutely. So, key takeaways. So, the first one that I learned, and I always stick by this, and you hear people talk about it all the time, but it's such the truth. Ride your own ride, right? So, no matter what you do, do not force yourself to try to, and again, I'm not trying to sound preachy. Oh, why the rain? More rain. Hopefully this doesn't get too fogged up. Not trying to sound preachy, but if I would have tried to keep up with the limits that these folks, these experienced riders do, probably wouldn't have been the best thing. So I knew going in that I might slow some people up, right? And here's what I dig, and I'm going to give them credit, Mario and Brian, for doing this. So like when we first met at their house, going into the first day, we went over to his house and they had a nice little dinner for us, and he even said, it was great, it was really cool, he's like, there's no trophy for getting to point A to point B the fastest. We want everybody to be safe, we want everybody to enjoy it, knowing that everybody has different skill limits. Now that was cool. So that's my first big takeaway, is ride your own ride. And everybody was really understanding of that. Nobody was like being a jerk or trying to force things, because you might be a slower rider, and I appreciated that. Second thing is check your ego at the door. And what I mean by that is you always ask for help. Like I'm an expert in several things in business with my job. I always like teaching people different things. I like showing them how to do it. And the same thing should go for motorcycles. Know your limits, right? And if you're not that good, if you don't understand something, it's okay. If you fail, it's totally cool as long as you learn from it, right? Learn from your mistakes. And so having an ego and going into saying that I'm going to do this and I'm going to, even if you're not experienced, just because you've got pride, don't. it's okay. Trust me, it is totally cool. So I went in there knowing that I was probably going to fall on my ass. Sure enough, I did. So always check your ego at the door. That's the biggest thing. And honestly, the people there, nobody was like disrespectful. Nobody was like looking down at people that didn't have the experience. You know, quite the contrary. Actually, they were very helpful. You know, it's cool as hell when that you could talk to people and then they're like giving you pointers and stuff and saying, hey, try it this way. You know, when you're standing up, this is how you do it. Balls of your feet on the pegs. You know, like that type stuff. And I got a lot of that this weekend. I mean, I asked a lot of questions, you know, but that was very, very helpful because I came out of this, you know, a better rider. Third takeaway is have the proper gear and parts for your bike. So I went through and I bought a new Get Up. You're looking at it right now. I've actually had this jacket for several months. It's by Tourmaster, the Horizon line. I love the jacket, and I have pants with it. You can't really see the pants, but there they are right there. And then I bought new boots. The gloves I bought from Tour. So this entire Get Up is all Tourmaster. Tires. Biggest takeaway I got was tires. I have the stock tires that came with this bike. Most everybody else on the trip, I'd say probably 80% of them had 50-50. So they had much more knobby tires, and I was all over the place. I was slipping and sliding and all kinds of, you know, on the first day when we went out, when it hadn't rained like it is today, I was struggling in some spots. That first day we did a lot of trails, you know, back and forth, all the way to Cumberland, Maryland. And essentially it was almost 9 hours the first day. And I was dog tired by the end of the day, but you know, it was so much fun. We went to Brian. I was talking about the Boyer dude. He has a family farm that has over like 500 acres, and he's gone through and created a ton of trails in there. So we did this in grass. I went in there and the grass was a little wet, and I was all over the place with these tires. I was struggling. And I will tell you what, I have used muscles like I didn't even think existed. I did this for like 10 minutes doing all these grass trails, and I was all over the place. I was like kicking out and all this stuff. We stopped. I was like, I feel like I just ran like a marathon, man. I'm so out of shape. You know, but it's those little things. So like, I've got to get in shape more. I got to have proper tires, all this stuff. And I loved it because I learned it. I loved it because I learned all these different things on, you know, throughout the day and how to ride, and I enjoyed it so much. Woke up this morning, I was sore as hell. We're in Cumberland, Maryland. I felt like I just did a huge workout. It's rainy, right? It's nasty out. It's cold, foggy, and we have like 25 miles to go to our, this is part of the road part of this trip, maybe like 20 miles to get to our first adventure of the day, some of these roads. And I thought this was cool, so I'm gonna give them credit. So like at our first stop before we started, they pulled everybody over and they said, listen, due to the conditions, we're gonna say you could still go through and do the off-road, or you can do an on-road. And Mario said we're going to take a group to the on-road, so that way they don't feel comfortable with. Then we'll meet up down the road a little bit later with stuff that's a little bit easier, because the first part of the trip was a little bit more higher skilled. So I'll be the first to admit, I raised my hand like, yep, I'll do it. I'm going to go on road. I don't feel comfortable with these tires. Again, checking my ego at the door, and there was about 5 or 6 others that joined us, and then the rest went off-roading. The thing I'm just going to say is, if you've ever had the experience of riding with something and taking something on, you got to try it. You know, this was probably the best experience I've had doing things like this, meeting some quality people. What an event. I'm going to give kudos to Brian and Mario for putting this on. It was amazing. 14 people, and I couldn't have asked for a better group. I learned a ton. I have a feeling I'm going to spend a lot more money now, because I've got all these vendors now. They're telling me about, oh, you need to order this, order this, order this. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I went. So hopefully this video you found entertaining, and all the shots that you saw that I did. Now get out there and ride. Be well, and I'm going to talk to you guys soon.